Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today, getting into Marianne Williamson's The Law of Divine Compensation.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
It is. It takes a look at spiritual and practical principles behind, financial abundance. And especially, like, in today's world, right, there's a lot of uncertainty out there.
There is.
A lot of anxiety around money.
It's understandable to be anxious. It is. But this book, it offers a really cool perspective, I think.
Yeah.
It kind of draws from A Course in Miracles, and it basically suggests that the universe, it's not against us, right?
Right.
It's the boundless source of abundance, always working to support us.
I love that. It's almost like flipping a switch,
Yeah.
in our minds, right? Instead of seeing lack everywhere, we see possibility.
Exactly. And Williamson, she starts things off with a really powerful quote right from the start from Albert Einstein.
Oh,
It
yeah.
says, "The most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or a hostile universe."
Ooh, that's good. That's really good.
It's thought-provoking, right?
It is. It makes you think about, your own relationship with money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you approach it from like a place of fear and scarcity or with like trust and openness, to receiving?
That's the core question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Williamson believes, if we fundamentally trust in a loving and abundant universe, well, we open ourselves up to experiencing that abundance in our own lives.
It makes sense. She dives into this, it's a mind-bending principle from A Course in Miracles.
Oh, yeah.
It says, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Now, okay, I'll be honest. When I'm like staring down a stack of bills, they feel very real.
Right.
So how do we take this abstract principle and apply it to like concrete challenges in our financial lives?
Well, that's where things get interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because, you see, of course, in Miracles, the idea of illusion versus reality, that's central to the whole thing.
Okay.
The idea is that anything rooted in fear, right,
Yeah.
including like financial struggle, that's ultimately an illusion. It doesn't have the same power as the eternal, unchanging reality, that love and abundance that exists at a deeper level.
So it's about shifting our perception, right?
Right.
Seeing through the illusion of scarcity to the underlying truth of abundance.
Exactly. And Williamson, she emphasizes this isn't about denying the reality of our challenges.
Right.
It's about choosing to focus on a more empowering truth.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
She even shares a personal story, and it brings this point home. She lost a significant amount of money on a project.
Oh, wow.
But instead of freaking out, she took her father's advice. He always said, I can absorb the loss.
Wow.
I mean, that takes a lot of faith, right?
It does, but that's the power of faith, right? It's not like blind optimism.
Right.
It's a conscious choice to trust in a positive outcome, even when things, seem difficult.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a deep inner knowing that we are supported, always provided for.
I love that. That story, I think, really highlights that we have more control over our thoughts and our beliefs than we often realize, right? We can choose faith over fear.
Yeah.
Trust over doubt.
Absolutely. And those choices, they have a ripple effect.
Mm.
When we choose faith,
Yeah.
we begin to attract experiences that align with that belief. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
Yeah, it does. So we've talked about the importance of shifting our perception of the universe and cultivating faith. But what about all that negative self-talk that can hold us back? Those voices in our heads that say, I'm not good enough, or I'm a failure, I'm too old. I think we've all dealt with those thoughts at some point, especially when it comes to our careers, our finances.
Oh, absolutely. Williamson, she tackles this head on. She reminds us that our worthiness, it isn't dependent on our accomplishments or our bank account balance.
Yeah.
We are inherently worthy simply by virtue of being spiritual beings, children of a loving universe.
It's so important to remember that,
It is.
especially when we're feeling, down on ourselves.
Yeah.
Our value comes from within, not from external circumstances.
Exactly. And that's why it's crucial to actively replace those negative messages, with affirmations that reflect our true potential.
Okay.
When we speak to ourselves with kindness, when we believe in our own worthiness, that's when we open ourselves up to receiving the abundance that is rightfully ours.
It's like we're clearing the path for good things to flow in.
Exactly. And speaking of clearing the path,
Yeah.
Williamson, she also addresses the anger, that many people feel about financial injustice.
Right.
or even personal betrayals, related to money. Have you ever experienced that?
Mm.
That feeling of like being cheated or taken advantage of?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common experience, especially, in a world where there's so much economic inequality.
Mm.
It's easy to feel like resentful or even like rageful toward those we think, have more than their fair share.
Hmm. It's understandable to feel those emotions. However, Williamson emphasizes that holding on to anger or resentment or blame, it actually blocks the flow of abundance.
It's like we're closing ourselves off to receiving by holding on to those negative emotions.
Exactly. It's like trying to fill a cup that's already full, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make room for the good, we need to release what's no longer serving
So
us.
how do we do that? How do we let go of those like heavy emotions, especially when they feel, so justified?
Well, Williamson, she believes forgiveness is the key. And she's not talking about condoning harmful actions,
Right.
but it's about releasing ourselves from the burden of carrying those negative emotions. And she even says, and I love this quote, she says, "We forgive then out of self-interest. I forgive you because I want out of my pain."
That's such a powerful perspective. It's not about the other person.
Right.
It's about freeing ourselves from the suffering that comes with holding on to anger and resentment.
Exactly. And it's not just about forgiving others, right? It's about forgiving ourselves, too.
I think that can be the hardest part.
Yeah,
Letting go of guilt and shame about past financial mistakes.
absolutely. But Williamson offers this beautiful concept of atonement. She calls it a spiritual reset button.
Oh, I like that.
It's about taking responsibility for our actions, making amends where possible, and committing to a new way of being.
So it's about acknowledging our past mistakes without letting them define us.
Exactly. It's about clearing the slate, so to speak, and creating space for a fresh start, both financially and spiritually. It's about clearing the slate, so to speak, and creating space for a fresh start, both financially and spiritually.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
She also tells a story about this woman named Judy
Uh-huh.
who runs a cafe,
Okay.
but she struggles with like charging for her services.
Yeah.
It's highlighting this like subconscious resistance to making money.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. Have you ever felt that like that conflict, that feeling of like discomfort or even guilt, around earning money?
Oh, absolutely. Judy's story, it illustrates a common prejudice, I think, against wealth. It can be like really deeply ingrained in us. We might have absorbed those messages like money is bad or wealthy people are somehow less spiritual. Right?
Yeah, it's like we're equating money with greed or corruption,
Yeah.
even when that's not necessarily the case.
And that belief, it can create a real block to abundance. Williamson, she challenges us to examine those beliefs and remember that money, in itself, it's neutral.
Hmm.
It's simply a tool that can be used for good or for ill.
It's all about our intentions, right?
Exactly.
And how we choose to use the resources that we have.
There's nothing inherently wrong with earning money, especially when our work benefits others, when it comes from a place of service. In fact, Williamson suggests that, when we align our work with our soul's purpose, well, abundance naturally flows.
It's about seeing our work as like a calling, not just a job.
Yes. And this is where the concept of surrender comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Williamson talks a lot about letting go of, the need to control every little detail
Mm-hmm.
and trusting that a higher power is guiding us toward our highest good, including, financial well-being.
Yeah. But, the idea of surrendering control,
Mm.
especially when it comes to something as important as finances, it can be really kind of scary.
I hear you.
I'd love to hear more about like, what surrender actually looks like in practice.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? It's one thing to like intellectually grasp the concept, but quite another to actually embody it in our lives, right?
Right.
And Williamson emphasizes that surrender isn't about, passivity or giving up.
Mm.
It's more about a shift in perspective, a willingness to trust in a wisdom greater than our own.
So it's not about denying our fears
Right.
or ignoring our responsibilities. It's more about acknowledging that we don't have all the answers,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's a force greater than ourselves that's working to support us.
That's beautifully put. And that shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating, right? It allows us to release the burden of trying to control everything and to open ourselves to receiving guidance and support, from a source beyond our limited understanding.
Yeah, she shares the story about this piano teacher named Dan
Okay.
who prayed for a financial miracle, But then he actually turned down a job opportunity because he thought it wasn't, quote, good enough for a miracle.
Wow.
It really highlights how our limited beliefs can, like, block the very abundance we're seeking, you know?
Dan's story, it's a great example, of how we can inadvertently put limits on how abundance can show up, right?
Mm.
Like, we might have a very specific picture in our minds, right, of what a miracle, quote unquote, should look like. And then, we miss out on opportunities that don't fit that.
So it's about being open to receiving abundance in unexpected ways.
Yeah.
Trusting that the universe might have a plan that's even better than what we can imagine.
Exactly. It's about letting go of our attachment
Right.
to specific outcomes
Okay.
and being open to the infinite possibilities that exist.
I mean, that takes a lot of trust, doesn't it?
It does, but that's where the real magic happens, when
Yeah.
we're willing to surrender our limited perspective and step into a space of trust and faith, We open ourselves to a whole new level of abundance.
I'm sensing a theme here. It seems like every principle we've discussed, from cultivating faith to embracing forgiveness to surrendering control, it's all about, like, shifting our mindset from fear to love,
Yeah.
from lack to abundance.
You're absolutely right. It's about remembering that we are not separate, struggling individuals, but we're interconnected spiritual beings, inherently worthy of all the good the universe has to offer.
It's about aligning our thoughts and our actions with that truth, and allowing the abundance that's always present to flow into our lives.
It's like we're tuning into a frequency of abundance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the more we align with it, the more we experience it.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And Williamson, she offers some very practical tools, right, for fine-tuning that frequency, so to speak. And one of the most powerful is gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
Gratitude is something she talks about a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about feeling good, but about, like, actively shifting our energy, right,
Yes.
to a more receptive state.
Exactly. She emphasizes that gratitude, it isn't just a passive emotion,
Right.
It's a powerful force for attracting more good into our lives. It's about acknowledging, appreciating what we already have. And that creates space, right, for more blessings to flow in.
It's like that old saying, you can't fill a cup that's already full.
Exactly. When we're consumed with what we don't have, we're essentially blocking the flow of abundance. Gratitude, it creates that spaciousness, that openness to receiving. And that's essential for attracting more of what we desire.
Okay, so gratitude is key, but, she also talks about the importance of cleaning up our past.
Right.
Like facing those financial messes, those mistakes, maybe even those betrayals. That can be a little daunting.
It can.
I mean, who wants to dwell on their past mistakes,
It's definitely not always easy, right? But it's an essential step in creating a solid foundation for financial and spiritual abundance.
Okay.
Williamson, she suggests taking what she calls a fearless moral inventory.
Oh, wow.
It's about honestly assessing our role in creating our current financial situation, right? But without judgment or blame.
So it's not about beating ourselves up for past mistakes.
Right.
But rather about taking responsibility and learning from those experiences.
Right. Exactly. And she even shares, some very personal stories in the book about her own financial blunders.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For instance, like she talks about an agent who stole her royalties,
Oh, wow.
and a lawyer who failed to protect her interests. But then, she digs deeper and she realizes that she wasn't entirely blameless in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
Like she hadn't been paying attention. She hadn't been assertive enough.
Mm-hmm.
She hadn't fully owned her worth and her power.
So by examining those experiences, right, she was able to identify patterns of behavior that were contributing to her financial challenge.
Precisely. It's like she was unconsciously attracting those experiences, right? Because she wasn't fully owning her power.
Wow.
It's a powerful lesson, in the importance of self-awareness and taking full responsibility for our lives.
It sounds like that process of, like, taking inventory and acknowledging our role in past situations, that can be a real catalyst for growth.
Absolutely. It allows us to break free,
Right.
from those unconscious patterns and make more empowered choices moving forward. And a crucial part of that process is forgiveness.
Oh, yeah. Forgiveness. That's a big one, isn't it?
It is.
Not always easy, but so essential for moving forward.
You got it. And Williamson, she emphasizes the importance of forgiving those who have wronged us financially, but also, and maybe even more importantly, forgiving ourselves.
I think that's often the toughest part.
It is.
We can be so hard on ourselves, carrying around that guilt, that shame for years, even decades.
It's true. But that guilt and shame, it creates an energetic weight that can block the flow of abundance. Forgiveness, it's like a spiritual cleanse, right?
Yeah.
It allows us to release those heavy emotions and create space for new beginnings.
It's like we're clearing the air, right?
Yeah.
Both internally and externally, allowing that positive energy to flow more freely.
Exactly. And once we've done that inner work, right, of taking inventory and forgiving ourselves and others, Williamson, she suggests a somewhat surprising third step.
Okay.
Allowing ourselves to want what we want.
That sounds like simple enough, but I have a feeling it's a lot more profound than it seems. Tell me more.
It's deceptively simple, isn't it? You'd be surprised how many people they're afraid to fully embrace their desires. They've been taught to suppress their wants, to believe that asking for too much is selfish or greedy.
I think a lot of us have internalized messages,
Yeah.
about money and desire, often like from childhood or from just societal conditioning.
Exactly. But Williamson, she challenges those limiting beliefs. She says that when our hearts are pure,
Yeah.
when our intentions are aligned with love and service, well, then our desires become trustworthy guides.
Right.
They lead us toward the work we're meant to do, the life we're meant to live.
So it's not about like chasing after material possessions just for ego gratification, right?
Yep.
It's about aligning our desires with our soul's purpose.
You got it. It's about recognizing that abundance is our birthright. As spiritual beings, we're not meant to live in a state of lack or scarcity. The universe is overflowing with good, and it wants us to have it all.
That's such an empowering perspective.
Yeah.
It's about giving ourselves permission to like dream big, right?
Yeah.
And to trust that those dreams are guiding us towards our highest good.
That's the essence of it. And once we've cleared the path, right,
Mm-hmm.
through gratitude, forgiveness, and allowing ourselves to want what we want, Williamson reminds us that our work can be a powerful channel for abundance.
She even goes so far as to say, our business is our ministry. I love that.
It is good.
It elevates work from like a mundane necessity to something much more like meaningful and purposeful.
Exactly. She's inviting us to see our work as a calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just a job.
Yeah, but what's the difference?
I
I mean,
see.
between a job and a calling, we all have bills to pay.
Right. A job is about like exchanging our time and energy for money, right?
Yeah.
Often out of necessity.
It's a calling. It's about aligning our work with our heart's desire,
Yeah.
with our passion, with our unique contribution to the world. It's about seeing our work as a form of service, as a way to express our love, our creativity, to make a positive impact, on the lives of others.
So it's not about denying, the practical realities of needing to earn a living,
Right.
but rather about finding a way to infuse our work with meaning and purpose.
Precisely. And when we do that, abundance naturally flows. It's not about chasing money, it's about pursuing our calling and trusting that the universe will provide.
That's such a beautiful concept. It's like it takes the pressure off of having to like force things to happen. And it allows us to just relax into the flow of life, trusting that we're being guided and supported every step of the way. Exactly. And that brings us back to the principle of surrender, right? Which you mentioned earlier. It can be one of the most challenging, but also, like you said, most liberating aspects of this whole journey.
So how do we actually surrender?
Okay.
Especially when it comes to something as important as our finances.
It starts with recognizing the ego's grip, right, on our
Okay.
thinking. The ego wants to control, to manipulate, to force outcomes. It creates a sense of separation from the divine flow of abundance.
So surrendering is about releasing that illusion of separation
Yeah.
and remembering our connection to a power greater than ourselves.
That's it. It's about shifting from a fear-based mindset, right,
Yeah.
to a love-based mindset. Fear says, I have to control everything, right? Love says, I trust the universe to support me.
And that trust allows us to let go of the reins, relax into the knowing that we're always being guided, provided for.
Exactly. It's about releasing the need to figure everything out and allowing the universe to work its magic.
Williamson, she also talks about the importance of cultivating positivity.
Oh, yeah.
He emphasizes that negativity is a major abundance blocker.
It is.
What are some practical ways, we can cultivate a more positive outlook,
Okay.
especially when we're facing challenges?
She breaks it down into 3 types of positivity
Okay.
that are crucial, I think, for attracting abundance.
Mm,
Positivity towards others, positivity towards possibilities, and positivity towards ourselves.
I love that breakdown.
Yeah.
Let's dive into each one. What does it mean to be positive towards others? I imagine it goes beyond just being like, you know, polite or friendly.
It certainly does. It's about seeing the best in people, even when they make mistakes.
Mm.
It's about approaching our relationships with a spirit of generosity, compassion, understanding. It's about recognizing that we're all connected, right? That we're all on this journey together, and that everyone is doing the best they can,
Yeah.
with the resources they have.
It's about shifting from a place of judgment and criticism to a place of like empathy and kindness.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective, it can have a profound impact, I think, on our relationships, right? And on our ability to attract abundance. When we approach others with positivity, we create a more harmonious, supportive environment for everyone.
It's like we're radiating like positive energy outward, you know?
Yeah.
And that energy is then reflected back to us in the form of like positive experiences and opportunities.
That's a great way to put it. And that positive energy, it's also essential for cultivating the second type of positivity towards possibilities.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well-
What does it mean to be positive towards possibility?
It's about believing that anything is possible, right?
That miracles can happen, that the
Yeah.
universe is always working in our favor. It's about opening our minds, to new opportunities, even when they come in unexpected forms.
So it's about maintaining like a sense of wonder and possibility,
Yeah.
even when things seem challenging.
Exactly. It's about saying yes to life, and trusting that the universe has a plan that's far grander than anything we could conjure up on our own.
And finally, positivity towards ourselves.
Yeah.
This one seems particularly important given, our earlier conversation about negative self-talk and the need for self-forgiveness.
It's absolutely crucial. Positivity towards ourselves. It's about recognizing our own worthiness, our own brilliance, our own capacity for greatness. It's about silencing that inner critic, right? And embracing our authentic selves, flaws and all.
It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and compassion that we would offer to a dear friend.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And when we do that,
Yeah.
when we cultivate a deep sense of self-love and acceptance, we create a magnetic field, right?
Yeah.
That attracts abundance in all its forms.
It's like we're saying to the universe, like, I'm worthy of receiving good things, right?
Yeah.
I'm open to the flow of abundance.
Exactly. And those affirmations, those beliefs,
Yeah.
they have a powerful impact on our reality. They shape our experiences, and they attract opportunities that align with our self-perception.
So we've got positivity towards others, positivity towards possibilities, and positivity towards ourselves.
Right.
What else, does Williamson recommend for tapping into this law of divine compensation?
Well, she talks about the importance of daily spiritual practices, things like meditation, prayer, as ways to strengthen our connection to the source of all abundance.
Okay.
And to align our energy with the flow of divine grace.
I'm curious to hear more about how those practices can support us on our financial journey.
I mean, meditation, I think it's often associated with relaxation and stress reduction. But how does it relate to abundance?
That's a great question. Meditation, it isn't just about relaxation.
Right.
It's also about connecting with our inner wisdom, our intuition, our creativity. Williamson calls meditation spiritual exercise, and I love that analogy.
Oh, that's good.
Right, just like we need to, work out our physical bodies to stay healthy, right? We need to work out our spiritual muscles to stay aligned with abundance.
Yeah, she recommends making meditation a daily habit, even if it's just for a few minutes each day, just to create that space for stillness, to connect with that inner source of guidance and inspiration.
It's about quieting the mind, right?
Yeah.
Silencing the inner chair and tapping into a deeper level of awareness where creative insights, solutions emerge.
Sounds like meditation could be a powerful tool for overcoming those limiting beliefs, right?
Absolutely.
And tapping into our full potential.
It allows us to move beyond the confines of our rational mind and to access, a deeper wisdom that can guide us toward our highest good.
And what about prayer? How does prayer fit into all of this?
Prayer, it's about conscious communication, right?
Mm.
With the divine, with that loving force that Williamson refers to as the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
It's about surrendering our worries, our fears, asking for guidance, for support, and expressing our gratitude, right,
Mm.
for all the blessings in our lives.
It's about opening a dialogue with the universe,
Yeah,
acknowledging our interconnectedness and inviting divine support into our lives.
exactly. And Williamson, she suggests, starting each day with a prayer,
Mm-hmm.
setting an intention, for alignment with abundance and service to others. It's about inviting the divine to work through us,
Mm-hmm.
to guide our thoughts and actions throughout the day.
So it's not about begging for favors, right?
Mhm.
Or trying to manipulate the universe,
Mm.
but rather about aligning our energy with the flow of divine love and allowing that energy to guide us toward our highest good.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Prayer is about aligning our will with the divine will,
Mm-hmm.
about surrendering our ego's desires and trusting in a plan that's far grander than anything we could conceive of on our own.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, right?
We have.
Gratitude, cleanup, allowing ourselves to want what we want, seeing our work as a calling, surrender, positivity, meditation, prayer. It's a lot to take in.
It is. But notice how all of these practices, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all interconnected. They all point back to that fundamental shift in perspective from lack to abundance, from fear to love.
It's like we're weaving like a tapestry of abundance, right? Using all these different threads to create, a beautiful and vibrant picture of the life we desire.
I love that metaphor. And what's so remarkable, is that the more we embody these practices, the more we realize that abundance, it isn't something we have to chase or strive for. It's already present within us.
It's about aligning ourselves with that truth,
Yeah.
with that inherent abundance, that's always available to us.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we are not separate from the source of abundance. We are the source of abundance.
It really is like a paradigm shift, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's about moving from that scarcity mindset, to an abundance mindset, from a place of fear to a place of love. And when we make that shift, everything changes.
Mm-hmm. Everything does.
Our perception of ourselves, our relationship with money, our capacity to create the life we want, it all transforms.
It's a beautiful unfolding, It's a journey of remembering who we truly are and stepping into our full potential as creators, right?
Mm-hmm. Williamson uses this phrase, purity of heart.
Yeah.
And it really struck me. What does she mean by that?
It's about aligning our intentions with love and service. It's about releasing any selfish or greedy motivations and focusing on how our work can benefit others.
It's like that idea of right livelihood, right, in Buddhism.
Yeah.
Finding work that aligns with our values and contributes to the well-being of all.
That's a great connection. It's about recognizing that our work is not just about making a living, right?
Yeah.
It's about making a difference. It's about using our unique gifts and our talents to create something beautiful, something meaningful, something that contributes to the greater good.
She also talks about the importance of allowing ourselves to want what we want.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, but I think it's actually quite profound.
It is. So many of us, we've been conditioned to believe that our desires are somehow wrong, or selfish.
Mm.
We've been taught to suppress our wants, to play small, to settle for less than we deserve.
But Williamson, she's saying that when our hearts are pure,
Yeah.
right, when our intentions are aligned with love, well, then our desires become a powerful force for good.
Our desires become a roadmap, to our soul's purpose.
Yeah.
They guide us towards the work we're meant to do, the life we're meant to live.
It's about trusting that the universe wants us to be happy, to be fulfilled, to experience abundance in all areas of our lives. It's not about denying our desires or trying to force outcomes, right?
Right.
It's about aligning our wants with our highest good and trusting the universe to deliver.
Beautifully said. It's about surrendering to the flow of life, trusting that the universe has a plan that's far more magnificent than anything we could conjure up on our own.
So listener, as we wrap up this deep dive into the law of divine compensation,
Yeah.
we invite you to reflect on these powerful principles. What shifts can you make in your own thinking, and your behavior to align yourself with the flow of abundance? What limiting beliefs can you release?
Yeah. What desires can you embrace?
What actions can you take today to express your unique gifts and talents in service to the world? Remember, the universe is conspiring to support you.
It is.
It's time to step into your power,
Yeah.
embrace your worthiness, and create a life filled with joy, purpose, and abundance. Until next time, keep diving deep, and may the law of divine compensation guide you every step of the way.
Did you get any of that?